education. Millions of girls my sister's age are denied the right to choose who and when they get to marry. Millions of girls my mother's age are denied equality in social, economic, and political arenas. Yes, sadly, these things still happen today, even as we speak, in many parts of the world like South America, Middle East, Africa, India, China, and the list can go on. Even in more developed countries such as our own, far too many women still live in abject and inhumane conditions for no other reason than that they are women. As Secretary Hillary Clinton has said in her groundbreaking speech at the United Nations Fourth World Conference held in Beijing, no country can move ahead if half its population is left behind. Today, it is my utmost honor to take this moment and echo once again Hillary Rodham Clinton's landmark address that women's rights are human rights and human rights are women's rights. A topic that is alarmingly relevant today, as it was centuries ago. We are focusing on issues that matter most in our lives, the lives of women and their families, access to education, healthcare, jobs and credit, and the chance to enjoy basic legal human rights, and to participate fully in the political life of our countries. There are some who question the reason of this conference. Let them listen to the voices of women in their homes, neighborhoods, and workplaces. There are some who wonder whether the lives of women and girls matter to economic and political progress around the globe. Let them look at the women gathered here, the homemakers and nurses, the teachers and lawyers, the policymakers and women who run their own businesses. It is conferences like this that compel governments and people everywhere to listen, look, and face the world's most pressing problem. What we are learning around the world is that if women are healthy and educated, their families will flourish. If women are free from violence, their families will flourish. If women have a chance to earn as equal and full partners in societies, their families will flourish. And when families flourish, communities and nations do as well. That is why every woman, every man, every child, every family, and every nation does have a stake on this discussion that takes place here. The challenge of this conference is to give voice to women everywhere whose experiences go unnoticed, whose words go unheard. Women comprise more than half the world's population, 70% of the world's poor, and 2/3 of those who are not taught to read and write. We are the primary caretakers for most of the world's children and elderly. Yet much of the work we do is not valued by economists, not by historians, not by popular culture, not by government leaders. At this very moment, women around the world are giving birth, raising children, cooking meals, washing clothes, cleaning houses, planting crops, working on assembly lines, and running companies. Women are also dying from diseases that should have been prevented or treated. They are watching their children succumb to malnutrition caused by poverty and economic deprivation. They are being denied the right to go to school by their own fathers and brothers. They are being forced into prostitution, and they are being barred from the bank lending offices and banned from the ballot box. I want to speak up for the mothers who are fighting for good schools, safe neighborhoods, clean air, and clean air rooms. For older women, some of them widows, who find that after raising their families, their skills and life experiences are not valued in the marketplace. For women who are working all night as nurses, hotel cooks, or fast food chefs so that they can be home during the day with their children. And for women everywhere who simply don't have the time to do everything they are called upon to do each and every day. There is no one formula, but we must recognize that women will never gain full dignity until their human rights are respected and protected. Tragically, women are most often the ones whose human rights are violated. Even now, in the late 20th century, the rape of women continues to be used as an armed conflict. Women and children make up a large majority of the world's refugees. And when women are excluded from the political process, they become even more vulnerable to abuse. I believe that now. It is time to break the silence. It is time for us to say, and for the world to hear, that it is no longer acceptable to discuss women's rights as separate from human rights. These abuses have continued because for too long, the history of women has been a history of silence. But the voices of women must be heard loudly and clearly. It is a violation of human rights when babies are denied food, or drowned, or suffocated, or their spines broken simply because they are born girls. It is a violation of human rights when women and girls are sold into slavery of prostitution and human greed, and the kinds of reasons that are used to justify this practice should no longer be tolerated. It is a violation of human rights when women are doused with gasoline, set on fire, and burned to death because their marriage dowries are deemed too small. It is a violation of human rights when individual women are raped in their own communities, and when thousands of women are subjected to rape as a tactic or a price of war. It is a violation of human rights when a leading cause of death worldwide among women ages 14 to 44, and they are subjected to in their own homes by their own relatives. It is a violation of human rights when young girls are brutalized by the painful and degrading practice of genital mutilation. It is a violation of human rights when women are denied the right to plan their own families, and that includes being forced to have abortions or being sterilized against their will. If there is one message that echoes, let it be that human rights are women's rights, and women's rights are human rights, once and for all. Let us not forget that among those rights are the right to speak freely and the right to be heard. Let me be clear. Freedom means the right for people to assemble, organize, and debate openly. It means respecting the views of those who may disagree with the views of their governments. It means not taking citizens away from their loved ones, jailing them, mistreating them, or denying them from freedom or dignity because of peaceful expressions of their ideas and opinions. Now, it is time to act on behalf of women everywhere. If we take bold steps to the better lives of women, we'll be taking bold steps to the better lives of children and their families too. Families rely on mothers and wives for emotional support and care. Families rely on women for labor in the home. And increasingly everywhere, families rely on women for the income needed to raise healthy children and care for relatives. As long as discrimination and iniquities remain so commonplace everywhere in the world, as long as girls and boys are valued less, fed last, overworked, underpaid, not schooled, subjected to violence in and outside their homes, the potential of the human life to create a peaceful, prosperous world will not be realized. Let this conference be the world's call to action. Let us heed that call so that we can create a world in which every woman is treated with respect and dignity. Every boy and girl is loved and cared for equally. And every family has the hope of a strong and stable future. That is the work before you. That is the work before all of us who have a vision of the world we want to see for our children and our grandchildren. The time is now. We must move beyond rhetoric. We must move beyond recognition of problems of working together, to have the common efforts to build that common ground we hope to see. God's blessing on you, your work, and all who will benefit from it. Godspeed.